Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle. I am your host, Colette Darville. Cultivating our body's resilience and inner silence and its application to all aspects of your life. Let's become enlightened and enjoy the power of intuitiveness and creativity. You are listening to Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Colette Darville, and this is Yin Yoga Lifestyle. So now let us take a deep meditative breath. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Dr. NIKKI MARTYN is the program head of early childhood studies at the University of Guelph-Humber in Canada. She is an international expert on infant and child mental health. She trained in clinical child psychology and holds her doctorate degree in child psychology and early childhood education from the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education at the University of Toronto. NIKKI has been awarded the Top Faculty Award at the University of Guelph and the University of Guelph-Humber, as well as a number of student mentorships and appreciation awards. She has spent much of her career in teaching and working in early intervention and prevention and founded an innovative therapeutic early learning and care center and private elementary school in Toronto. NIKKI MARTYN is the principal investigator of the research project Children's Experiences of the Pandemic, found at www.childart.ca. This project was designed to listen to children and youth's voices through their artwork to feel and understand their experiences of the pandemic. Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle, NIKKI.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
I know you're all the way up there in Canada, so we're all the way down here in Florida, but the miles seem so small now that we've connected.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about what inspired your career in child psychology and early childhood education?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say I'm a little humbled listening to you speak about myself. So as you can hear, I've had quite an interesting and diverse path, right? And I've been so fortunate to try different things. But the one thing that has always connected everything and really a focus of mine is kids. So I've always known. So to answer your question, I've always known from a very young age the importance of childhood in our lives. And the experience is often dismissed or overlooked or not valued by society as a whole. But These early experiences are the foundation for our whole lives. They become the basis of how we see and interact and understand the world. They're essential to they're essential to who we are, our lives, for humanity. So I guess I've always wanted to support kids, parents, those who interact with them, so that we can understand the importance of these early experiences and ensure that our kids are seen, heard, understood, and that they experience love.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you've taken all this and you have spearheaded the project childart.ca, Children's Experiences of the Pandemic. Can you explain why and how the development of this important project began?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the pandemic, if we can remember that far back at this point, at the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot of talk and discussion, as there still is today, about, what is the impact of all of the isolation or lockdowns, depending on where you are and what the experiences you're having. But what is the experience and impact on the kids, on development, on education? And so when we thinking about this, I thought, I really wonder what kids themselves are thinking and experiencing and feeling. This is unique for us, this kind of experience. And so, and we have a tendency as adults to kind of look through our own lens and try to anticipate what children feel or what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a great opportunity to be able to ask kids directly. And because children, developmentally, it's hard for them to express themselves with words and verbally, but they express themselves and process their feelings and thoughts and their days and through play and art. And so I thought art would be a really great way to be able to understand and hear children's voices about what their experiences have been from the pandemic from themselves.
Yeah, and now I am quoting, art can be a way to promote and support mental health in children. It's especially important right now to create a nurturing space for children to make art, and that's end quote. How can caregivers and parents inspire creativity with children to sort of help create a dialogue of the understanding of the pandemic? Because that's very difficult. Most, especially young children, don't understand why they can't hug grandparents and hang out with their friends, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, there's a lot of ways, but part of it is creating a safe space for creativity and imagination. And that might mean in some homes allowing a space to get messy, right? And sometimes that can be hard for parents. So being able to create a safe space of trust and acceptance, and where it's okay to be vulnerable, and doing that through the art. And what I mean by that is sometimes when we draw, sometimes the experience for kids can be that they go and show somebody with great pride. They go and show their parent with great pride, and the parent, it's an expression of themselves. So we want to be able to create conversations that are open and positive and can help the child feel good about their creativity and what they're doing.
Yes, it really is. And how do you see that for older children?
Well, for older children, I think when you get to be a teenager or when you're preteen, you really you might want a little bit more independence, right? So it's really important for them that the parents are available and there. And it's especially nice if you can find a way that you're all creating together, right? For teenagers, that might mean that they leave the table and they go do something on their own, but that they're able to come back. And, not everybody loves to doodle, but I like to encourage, if we do this as a family, the most interesting things come out when we're doodling and drawing, because kids just start talking and feeling and sharing. And so if you're there to be able to listen, and the same goes for teenagers, they'll come back and they'll, if you're there and open and available, it will, amazing things come out.
Yeah, it's really it creates a great way to start conversation and dialogue, doesn't it? If there's a safe space there in the house or in the apartment. Yeah. Now, when we talk about children, this also includes teenagers. Sometimes teenagers they're expected to act like adults when they really are still trying to make sense of how they fit in the world, let alone have a layer of something like the pandemic on top of it. And they're, it's an isolation from their friends. How can creating art help teenagers specifically?
Yeah, it's really important because, as you've said, teenagers really, we all remember kind of being a teenager ourselves, and it was fun to hang out with friends, and peers became very important, and kind of that pull to be separate from your parents and to find your own identity and your own individuality is really important developmentally at that stage. And so the pandemic is probably hardest on them because of that. And so art is a form of self-expression. It allows us to express and share feelings that may be hard to articulate. It's important to be able to get them out, to express them, to process them. And it can be hard to do that with words, right? It's hard for adults to do it with words sometimes, right? So so art's a great tool to be able to provide this opportunity to process and express those deep feelings. It additionally is wonderful when parents or loved ones can accept the art, right? And it's because then the child can feel loved and they can feel beautiful, and they can, all of those, they are so wonderful. And being accepted for your artwork, being accepted is really, it feels so similar to you being accepted and you being seen and you being an amazing, wonderful person that you are. And so that love and acceptance goes a long way and can help start a conversation to normalize mental health, feelings of vulnerability, which can be expressed and shared and accepted, and an opportunity to feel seen, heard, and understood, which is so important for humans.
Mm-hmm. And it's and I have to say that and we will talk about this in a couple of moments, but the gallery is quite extensive of the child art and some real eye openers, and we'll talk about those later. But I have to say that I was really not surprised, but moved by many of the images, and I look at it mostly every other day just to see what the new pieces are that are coming online, and talking about the stress of the pandemic, and some of these images, definitely you can see the stress that children are under. And according to the World Health Organization, stress is currently the world's most pronounced health risk. Well, for obvious reasons too. And the consequences of stress are constant agitation, exhaustion, burnout, helplessness, fear, and eventually it begins to weaken the immune system. How do children show their stress during this time of the pandemic? Is it different, and are there signs or behaviors that caregivers and parents should watch out for?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question, and we're all experiencing heightened stress in some way or another right now, right? And so absolutely. Children are, and children are for many ways. One, they're worried about, and it feels weird right now. They're not going to school, so their lives and routines have changed. But also, parents have changed. Their home lives have changed. Maybe there's more stress in the home. Maybe there's financial or food insecurities, that there may have not been in the same ways before, which is incredibly stressful, right? Maybe there's more fighting between the parents because of the proximity or because of other things that are going on. All of that affects children. And so we, not that that's life, but we need to be able to provide an opportunity to see and support the children when they are experiencing stress. And so some of the things that children you might, as parents, kind of look out for is, I always recommend, looking at the change of behavior. So when kids' behavior changes, you should kind of wonder about what that's about and try to figure that out. And so the pandemic can look like grief, right? Because there's so many losses. So really, if you're you might see more anger, and you might see tantrums and increased tantrums. Those are ways to be able to express themselves. So instead of maybe how you may have dealt with a tantrum before the pandemic and before the increased stress, maybe now is a better time to really sit with them and try to understand. And maybe this is a great opportunity for art or play to be able to help them process what's going on and understand how they're experiencing and seeing the world. They might experience some sadness. Hopefully they're also experiencing some joy, and hopefully that's something that the family can, as a family, you can do together and get outside and reduce some of that stress with physical activity or just nature, right? But that may not be possible for everybody. What I like to suggest is be open and available to kids, provide them with lots of opportunity for love and connection, listening, developing trust, and teaching them that they can get through difficult times, and that will help to build resilience. And so I think right now it is difficult for everybody, and that actually puts us in a unique situation to be able to share and understand together.
Yeah, that's well said. Yes. When the pandemic is behind us, which whenever that is, what do you want people to understand and remember from the child art project?
After the pandemic, I look forward to that day. But
we all do.
So after the pandemic, I hope the art project has helped people become more aware of the unique experiences of kids and the importance of love and connection and being seen and heard and understood. It would be really great if we're not only to take with us, to be able to take this with us, but to also normalize conversation and sharing experiences about our feelings and mental health. I hope that the images and the pictures and the feelings that people feel may open up a conversation